Welcome to the All Outdoors Photography Podcast. This podcast is about all things outdoor photography, including landscapes, wildlife, macro, and more. The show features two talented photographers, Henry Doyle and Ryan Taylor, who bring their different experiences in photography to the podcast. The show is released weekly every Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so I hope you sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. In today's episode, we welcome back Kelly Ingerson on the show. She tells us of her experiences traveling out west to several national parks and areas in Utah on the Pacific Coast. Kelly also made a trip to Florida for the Spectrum Art Show in Miami, as well as visiting the beach. Next up, she tells us of her future photography plans, including opening up her own studio at Front Street, upcoming exhibitions, and more.
Welcome back to episode 58, and today we're having a returning guest on the show.
Yes, Kelly Ingerson's coming on the show once again. Welcome, Kelly. I guess we're just going to catch up, basically. I think you were on episode 42 last when we talked, and the first time we talked on here. And so it's been a few months. So just tell us more about, your travels and photography since then.
Guys, hi Henry, hi Ryan. Yes, I've had travel since I've spoken to you. Everywhere from Utah to Florida. So in September, I went back to Utah, and I went to Wyoming, to the Red Gorge, and photographs of the formations and stuff. And then there was some wild horses and buffalo, and I went out to Antelope Island, and it was really fun, just to go and use my camera in different ways to capture, different stuff. But me, it says don't go too close to the buffalo. Well, it's like, well, I can't get a good enough picture with my lens. So so I sneak up alongside this big buffalo, and I got a great picture, but I was a little scared at the same time, Mm-hmm. But yeah, so I did that in September. Got some really great pictures. I sold 9 to my daughter, who owns a flooring store in Heber City, and she's just opening one in Park City. So she has some horses and buffalo and some landscape pictures and stuff to put up in there. So that's really cool.
Awesome.
I went to Florida. I was invited to the Spectrum show. It's in the Art Basels. It's like a huge art festival, basically. And Spectrum is actually in a really funky little area of Miami, in the graffiti district. So there's some kind of interesting characters that live and hang out down there. So at nighttime you don't really want to be out there too far. But they did graffiti stuff was just phenomenal. And I photographed the graffiti guys, doing their graffiti work, and just with a spray can. I mean, it's just phenomenal the way that they do that. But the really cool thing about Miami was it was a great experience, way over my head. Just a lot of people, a lot of money. There's a lot of really cool artists there, but there was some just really strange artworks. There was a box. Seriously, this is hilarious. There was a box, a clear plastic box full of shredded paper. And I have $3,000. I'm going, wow. I can make that at home.
Most people.
I'd guess there it probably wasn't the art and probably the artist in that situation.
I
would hope so, at least.
It depends on whose paper it is, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
It can't just be anyone's.
I actually office paper shredded. It didn't look like they even had numbers or anything, or letters or anything on the paper. It was just weird. Uh-huh. And then, but I met a bunch of different artists down there. I made some really good friends, some new connections. I'm talking to a gallery out in San Francisco and one in Santa Barbara to put some of my sand artwork in. And there's a company in New York. They were really interested, and then they kind of backed out. I haven't really heard from them, so we'll see what happens there. At Christmas time, I did not get to go to the beach. So I was a little disappointed at that, other than my daughter flew down to Miami and we went out to the beach. They do not have good sand at all.
Okay.
No.
I was gonna ask. Yeah.
No. So Miami has the like South Beach, which is their fabulous beach. That it's like every day, and they clean everyone's trash off of the beach because for whatever reason people think it's okay just to leave all their trash on the beach. So they rake it every day, and I think they bring sand in. It's kind of like Virginia Beach, whereas they go in and they rake it every day. So it was a little disappointing that there really wasn't any color or any pretty designs or anything. So, so I didn't get.
Go ahead.
So yes, that was pretty much the end of the year. The one really cool thing about Miami is I sold the piece that I had down there, and a lady in Australia bought it. Her name is Karen, and I went to high school with her.
Wow.
And so she's going to put it in her beach house in Kingston in South Australia. So that was really cool. And there was 4 other artists from the Dayton area that were also down there. So that was really cool. So there was 5 of us that represented, Dayton's Front Street Art District. So that was really cool. So it was a really fun experience. It's super mega expensive, way too many people for me. But it was a great experience to have, to experience and have my artwork and stuff down there. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I've been to Miami once. It didn't really feel like the rest of Florida for me. It was like too urban, not enough nature.
Yeah, it was. I mean, there were 6 lanes wide on the highways, and everybody was just trying to, push in front of the other one. And I'm just like, oh yeah, no. And I think that's why I have never been to New York. I've been to Los Angeles, California, and I've been to San Francisco, but not super excited about being there either. Oh, and Chicago. Yeah, I'm not going to Chicago.
It's just cold.
Yeah. Well, yeah, right. Too many people.
Mm-hmm.
Too busy, but yeah, it's like those people think of those places being like the meccas for like galleries, though, like New York and Miami. But maybe that's the reason why.
But yeah, there was an outdoor photographer that I met who had been in Australia. He actually does underwater photography of sharks and sea life. Really cool guy to talk to. And he had some really interesting, his shark pictures were like so clear. I've never really seen him like that before. But he had a seahorse that looks like it's got 4 leaves on it. That's like a native to Australia, to Southern Australia. And yeah, he just had some really, really cool artwork. And he has a sticker. This is hilarious. This guy's name is Paul. And it says, he has these little stickers and it says Paul is everywhere. Doesn't have his business name, like nothing. It just says Paul is everywhere. I'm like, that is like the coolest thing. So he gave me a sticker. I put it on my truck. So now,
always with you.
People are like, who's Paul? I don't know. He's just everywhere.
It's a conversation piece then. Yeah. Like, who's this Paul? And why is he with you? Why is he everywhere?
Everywhere. So, but yeah, that was really my time down there. So.
That's awesome. I mean, you traveled so much there. I mean, like, what was the highlight? Would you say going out west, or did you prefer? It sounds like you didn't really prefer Miami with how busy it is, but what was your favorite parts of traveling?
Twice last year. I did one in July, and I went hiking in the Wasatch Mountains, and that was beautiful. Donut Falls. Which is basically, it's a cave, and the waterfall comes down on top of the cave in a big hole. It has worn its way through, I guess, the rocks had a weak spot in it, I'm assuming. And the waterfall just runs down into the cave, so they call it Donut Falls. And it was really beautiful, which is inside the cave. And that water, I'm telling you, even in July, it is like icicles. It is seriously cold. Yeah,
Did you try to go into it?
yeah, we went in
Still
the
waiting.
yeah, we waded in the pool, the pond that's on the inside of the cave, and then it obviously runs down the creek. You hike up the creek, up the side of the mountain, to Donut Falls, and then you can go in the cave. We've got our picture taken inside the cave with the like the water rushing through the hole in the top. It was pretty cool. But yeah, that water was really frigid cold. And then I went back out in September, and I did the water, and I went to in 24 hours. We went to Cedar Breaks. This is all in Southern California. So she's like 4.5, 5 hours from Southern Utah. So we went to Cedar Breaks, went to Zion, we went to Bryce Canyon, and we went to St. George, and we went to Snow Canyon, and then we drove 5.5 hours back through the Dixie National Forest, and I mean, just phenomenal. Zion is huge, red rock, massive cliffs, and just incredible stuff. They actually had a helicopter out there that was doing a rescue. Like someone had gone out hiking and needed rescued. So the rescue helicopter had come in, and somebody went down and picked the person up, took them out. So that was, kind of interesting. But got some really cool pictures of, the mountain rock landscape. And just really trying to take some bit different photography for myself. So, and because it's not really, like the sand is really my thing, but this is really fun for me to do. So I just mess with my camera, all of my settings and stuff all the time. Mm-hmm. Got a really cool picture going through the tunnel, just because I was like being ridiculous with what kind of settings I had. So it was really fun. But yeah, we did that in 24 hours, and it was just really fun. The Western states, I've been to Arizona, I've been to New Mexico, I've been to Colorado, Utah, Wyoming, Montana, Idaho, Oregon, Northern California. They are just like the most beautiful places on the planet. And I just love it out there. And even though there are no seashells on the beach on the Pacific, in Northern California and Oregon, I don't care. It's just beautiful out there. I mean, the cliff faces that the ocean comes up to. I mean, and the ocean's pretty cold out there. Pacific's colder than the Atlantic, but it is this beautiful out there, and I just love being in amongst it all.
Yeah, I went up there. I was in San Francisco last summer, and like you said, the coastline, it's just so much more pretty than the eastern coastline, and just it's such a great experience up there.
I mean, I went to the Redwood Forest, and it's just, you can't explain the smell that is there, and it's clean, and it just has nothing but the pine smell, and then just the size of these trees are just kind of like, it's just wow, they're incredibly big. And, being in Nevada, I went to the Great Basin where the bristlecone pine trees are, and they're like the oldest tree in the world. Some of them are like 5,000 years old. So all of that out there is really, really beautiful. I mean, it's desert, it's rugged, it's wild. I love it.
It's a nice change of pace from, shooting your typical like sand beach photos too, or just being in the Midwest as we are.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, the sand is still my passion. I love the sand, but I'm having a lot of fun since I'm not near my ocean. I'm having a lot of fun just doing, wild animals and landscapes and sunrise, sunsets. I actually have, this will make you laugh. So I take pictures through my windshield when I'm driving down the road. It's probably really not a great thing to do, but I do. So if I'm driving down the road, right? Mm-hmm. So it's a cell phone picture, But I have taken my camera and actually taken a picture out the window the road, which is it's quite fun because you just put it on, multi frames up and down, and it just takes whatever. And then you go look at it and you go, oh wow, that was really a waste of time. Or it was like, oh my god, that is so cool. But I've been taking pictures of sunsets through my windshield in my truck. So these beautiful pictures, but they have like little bug guts in the picture because it's going through the windshield. Oh my gosh! Every time I see it, I just laugh. I'm like, people actually buy that.
You just clone it out in post production, but yeah.
Oh, I think it's really cool that it's actually in the picture.
Probably, I bet some of the sunsets look like a UFO or something invading. You know what I mean? Little smudge here in the sky.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it too, like that's what people see normally. That's how they see sunsets. So, they may be even more likely to buy something like that because
It's relatable.
Yeah.
From a car window. That's funny though. While you're driving too, right? You're just taking photos.
Yeah, I hold my cell phone up, and I just hold the button down and just take pictures. There's like a really big piece of bug guts on there, and you just kind of have to move around it, and because and then you try and wipe it with your wipers, and it just smudges, and you're like, oh god. Okay, well that's gone.
I remember the old technique because early on in my photography, I was doing like zoos and stuff, of course, because they're around and everything. And I would you have to get real close to the bars or whatever was like the barrier it was, just so that I could get it out of focus and get it like on the animal or whatever. So maybe like something like that.
Yeah.
Get real close to the window. But yeah, that's cool. You've been doing so much, but you're always up to something new, which that's a great part about talking to you.
Well, you want to know what's coming up?
I have a guess, but go ahead.
Any questions for me before I drop a couple of these like super fun adventures?
I had a couple questions. So, you said you did Bryce and Zion in one day, right? Is that? So
4 hours.
4 hours. Wow. So did you feel like you got a good picture of the park, or do you wish you had like more time in those two parks?
So July is like the busy season. So I've been to Zion and Bryce Canyon prior. I did that in 2020 when I took my road trip. And I apologize, not 24 hours, in 48 hours.
Okay.
Let me you couldn't do it in 24. In 48 hours.
That's impossible.
I have, and Ryan can tell you this, I have a mathematical issue.
Yes.
That I've tried really hard to make it okay. I'm an artist. I'm not a mathematics person.
There's a reason why I went in the art business.
Exactly.
No
Problem is, I
worries.
have the same problems too. So you go to me for help, and I'm like, I don't know either.
Right. Oh no. So we went to go to the park, and you had to get a bus in, and so we rode the bus, and we got there, and I have a park pass like for all of the national parks across the United States. And for everyone and anyone who wants to go on adventures and go over to these beautiful national parks, go ahead and buy your national parks pass. It's $80 or $85 with your processing fee. Most of them are $35 per entrance. So in 3 parks, you've paid for it. I mean, I did 12 national parks back in 2020. So, I mean, for me, it was definitely worth it. So I've repurchased it. I just renewed it and got it again. So yeah, anyone interested in doing that, it's so worth it.
So you pay. It's a yearly pass.
You go online to National Parks, United States, and you just go in there and you put in for a year, and then they send you a pass, and everyone who's in your vehicle gets in.
Mm-hmm.
Not people, like each person has to pay to get in the park. So when we went to Zion and Bryce Canyon, I just gave him my pass, and my daughter and I went through. It's just the vehicle, basically.
Oh, cool.
So
Yeah,
I think you can have up to 6 people or something.
That was invaluable to me this summer because I stayed right like on the edge of a national park, and it would have been hundreds and hundreds of dollars if I hadn't bought that pass. So that's a great tip for sure. Yeah, and it supports conservation as well too. They put that back into protecting the animals and the landscapes and everything. So,
I mean, it's definitely worth doing that. But when we went to go into Zion, we took this bus and we got through to where the gate was, where you show your pass, and then you go and you get another shuttle bus because we wanted to go to the Narrows. The Narrows is one of the most famous parts of Zion. And Slot Canyon, it's fabulous. So we wanted to go there. So we were standing in line and we were just looking at all of the people, and we just looked at each other and we went, nah, do this. So we got out of line, got back on the little shuttle bus, and went back to her Jeep, and we drove through. So you can drive through Zion, and it's on Route 12. And so we went to the park gate, we showed our pass, we went through, and we drove through on Route 12, because Route 12 goes out the other side into Escalante's wilderness and, Capitol Reef, and it heads north up to Route 24, which then takes you further north into the Goblin Valley and Little Wild Horse Canyon and everything up that way. So we just drove through, and we just pulled off on the side of the road, and we just did some little hikes of our own. Went through the tunnel, and then we hiked the mile out to the overlook. So you come up the side of the mountain. It's all switch all the way up the mountain, and then there's a tunnel you go through, and then when you get out the other side of the tunnel, there's a parking area, and you park, and then you walk a mile back. I think it's about a mile that you walk back to the overlook, and you can see the whole valley of where you just came up. I mean, it's really phenomenal, and it's it's 8,000, 9,000 feet elevation. I mean, it's pretty cool. So and then we went to Bryce Canyon, and we hiked the hike we did, but we went down because Bryce Canyon is all those hoodoos, right? You know what they are?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of different parts of it that they call. Some of them are like Wall Street. I think we did Wall Street, and then there was another one like Double. You hike down to Double Bridge, and it's basically a hoodoo that's fallen down, and it's created a bridge. It's really fun, but you go down into there, and it's quite cool down there. But it's a workout to get back up. That's all I'm going to tell you. It's definitely worth doing, but it is a serious workout to come back up.
How many miles is it?
It's like a 2-mile round trip. By the time you get down and go through all your switchbacks and get down and you hike out into this wooded area and whatever, and then you come back around and then you hike back up.
Yeah, switchbacks prolong it, of course.
Yeah. So I'm straight up. So you have to do all this, but yeah, it's pretty fun stuff. We don't have anything like that out here.
Yeah, nothing close.
I mean, because I'm always the apologist for Ohio. It's in the Midwest in general, it's we got some hilly wood sides and woodland, but and hey, I mean, some of those can be strenuous hikes, though. To be fair, but yeah, it's definitely not quite on the same scale as stuff out west.
The whole landscape and everything out there is, I mean, the Red Rock is just phenomenal. Have nothing like that. This is like your Appalachian Mountains and your Smoky Mountains and stuff are beautiful. Don't get me wrong. The Shenandoah, Blue Ridge Mountains. I mean, being up through there, being camping and canoeing and stuff down in the Maury River, whatever. Smoky Mountains, absolutely fabulous. You tube down one of the rivers there, just outside of Gatlinburg. And I mean, it's beautiful. Don't get me wrong, but the West is just so different, and it's big. Everything's big. They say when you go Montana, the sky looks like really big because that's what they call it, the big sky state. But it does. When you get there, you feel like the sky is enormous. So, but I feel that like, with the whole out.
Yeah, I know one of my friends was telling me she used to live in Montana for years, growing up and everything, and then moved to Ohio here. But she was telling me like, because I was like asking her out of curiosity, because I've always wanted to go to Montana. It seems really breathtaking. She was saying about like, yeah, I mean like you could just go on a hike at any moment. Like you walk outside your door and there's mountains, and like you could just go up them or whatever you want. Like that just sounds awesome.
Oh, absolutely. So my daughter, Nicole, and her husband Matt, and her son Matt, there's two Matts, um, they live in the I always get it wrong, the Wasatch Mountains range. And then to the north of them is the Uintas. And then, obviously, 4 or 5 hours south of them is like southern Utah, which is, all the red rock, everything from the Arches, Canyonlands, Moab, the Escalante Grand Staircase, Wilderness, Capitol Reef, you've got Zion, Bryce, all of these beautiful, beautiful places. And then they've got like state forests and state parks that are just as phenomenal, So yeah, their backyard, they're always out hiking, and there's tons of beautiful lakes and stuff that they go fishing on, paddleboarding, So they have, and then the snow in the wintertime, they can go skiing if they want. They're not big skiers, but that it's all there. I mean, it's sort of like all year round, and that's, I think, is what is different. There's not that same draw, I don't think, there is what it is here.
Yeah, for sure.
You have like options for your outdoor recreation.
Yeah. Although I am actually I'm trying really hard to find some really fun, new and exciting little outdoor adventures here in Ohio, and especially kind of like where I live. So last weekend I went to Bruckner Nature Center, which is just south of Covington, Ohio, down
Troy.
Yeah, it's kind of like in between Troy and Covington, but off of 48. So I went there last weekend and hiked all of the trails. It was really fun. And it was snowing pretty much the whole time I was there. Saw a red-headed woodpecker. I don't know what his name is. But that was super cool to watch him, and pecking on the wood, making all this noise. And because, when it snows, this is one thing I do love about when it snows, and I love to be outside when it snows, is it's so quiet. It's just silent. Time it's just silent. It's so, to me, that is really cool. So I saw the woodpeckers, and then there was a bunch of deer that were just playing, frolicking, and everything just in the snow. I'm going, oh my God, they love the snow too. So I just watched them, I'm going, oh my God, this is super cool. And then walked down by the Stillwater, and bit of the river is actually frozen. So I walked out onto the river where it was frozen. Probably stupid, but I did. I went out there and I scraped all the snow off of it and took a picture of my feet on the ice.
Before you fell, it's the last shot of you.
That's what I said. It's probably stupid, but
You're living that influencer
anyway.
life.
Exactly, right?
Kelly, honestly, I've been guilty of that too. I did that last winter. I mean, I just like skirted out like at least a foot or two, but I'm like, it's worth it. Plop the tripod down. I was like, it's worth the risk. I took off my bag at least, so if I fell, it'd be not a whole loss.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, you drowned, but then your bag would be okay. So that's.
I mean, it's more to weigh me down, I guess, not really the monetary value. But yeah,
well,
both things.
The thing is, Ryan, at least they'd know who you were.
That's true. He died doing what he's loved.
Exactly.
Sorry, that's a dark turn. Anyways.
Anyway.
So Bruckner, beautiful place. I've been there. Yeah, it's great. It is really awesome. Did you
go
in
the fall? In the fall. It's really pretty too, with all of the leaves and they got some pretty pines in there too. So, and it did have a little bit of the pine smell, not a lot, but it did have a little bit. So that was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
Went to Ludlow Falls. Could not get down to the river. It was just, there was too much snow, and she was pretty slick. So I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna go down. So, but half of the falls was frozen. You know how it freezes in the center.
Yeah, I've noticed
So
that.
around,
Yeah.
yeah. So most of the center was frozen. So yeah, so that was kind of cool to watch. And then I went down to Greenville Falls, which is just outside of Covington. They have this cliff that goes all the way, like it follows the river, and there were like all these icicles, and it looks so cool. If you put lights behind it, it would be just fantastic, at nighttime. There's all of these icicles and stuff, and then so I took pictures of that, and I mean, obviously, I stopped on the middle of the bridge because that was the best place to get a picture, and had a few cars wait for me, but it was okay. And then took a picture. Most of the falls was running. On the sides, it was a little frozen. There was a little piece in the middle that was frozen, but for the most part, it was. And it's a pretty strong rushing waterfall, so it's not real tall, but there's a fair bit of water that comes over it.
That's a very wide one, isn't it?
Ryan, it's what?
That's a very wide kind of waterfall, isn't it? It's like pretty shallow.
It's as wide as the creek.
Hmm.
I don't know if it's a river, but I'm assuming maybe. I don't know. It doesn't look like a river to me. A river is like the Mississippi, the Ohio,
Right.
the Murray River in Australia. That's a river. I mean, it's like a mile wide. That's a river.
That's true, yeah. It's just a really big creek at that point.
It is.
I'm curious with the ice at all. Have you tried any? I know you took a picture of your feet, but have you tried any like textured shots of the ice, like with your camera or anything?
I did. I took some. It was like frozen icicles that were on top of falls when I was in Caesars Creek the weekend prior. They had these really like almost like sticks of icicles all kind of like entwined between each other. I did take a couple of those. I don't really have a good enough lens for that. The macro, I either don't have a good enough lens or I'm really technically challenged and can't figure out my macro, but they don't come out very good. Now I did take a picture of the ice. There was like a icicle that had fallen into the water and was on top of the water, and it created this like frozen, what do you call it? But it's really pretty, and it's almost like it's platinum, like in colors, like it's really polished platinum in color. It's kind of weird, but that came out really good. But I can't get like and I can't capture those kind of images on the ice. I've tried 100 times, and I don't know. Like I said, I probably don't have my camera settings right, or my lens isn't right, or I'm just technically challenged. So it's one of those three. But I do have some news though. Talking about ice. I had wanted to go up to Lake Erie in the winter to see the frozen waves. They're from this area, so I'm sure if you've seen them.
And I've seen pictures of them online at least, but I've never seen them in person.
I've done frozen waves on Lake Michigan a couple of years ago. It was great.
So they're saying. So I've been following this group called Ohio Road Trips, I think it's called, on Facebook, and there was a lady that was saying that the ice is getting really thick and like the lake is getting frozen. And so in the middle of February, I'm going to take a road trip from Toledo to Buffalo and capture all of the lighthouses all the way up and back.
That's awesome.
That's gonna be an awesome
Yeah.
series.
And photograph sunrise, sunset, daytime, out on the ice. The one that's really, really intriguing me is the Astabula Lighthouse, which is out in Cleveland area. It's that big house that sits way out in the water. It has like that jetty or something that goes out to it, the rock pier or whatever. It's really like angry. The waves hit the side of the big lighthouse, and it's like phenomenal. I've seen pictures of it. I want to capture that. So I'm hoping that there'll be a storm so that you'll see all these big chunks of ice and then this huge splash of water that comes up over the top of this big lighthouse. I think it'll be like phenomenal.
That's
I wanted
awesome.
to do it. So yeah, so I wanted to do it. So I'm going to do that or end of February. They're saying, the middle to end is like when it's peak. So I just want to do that. But so that's coming up. Fun pictures. And I'm going back to Utah at the end of March.
Oh, that's great.
So my daughter and I are going to backcountry backpack through the Escalante Wilderness for 3 days. And we're going to go to Coyote and Zebra Canyon, Peekaboo and Spooky Canyons. They're all slot canyons. We're going to Doyle's Garden, off Creek Falls, and we're going to try and get to the Goblin Valley, and then Little Horse Canyon. So Little Wild Horse Canyon. So we're going to try and do all that. There's 9 places that we want to stop in 72 hours. We're going to see how far we can go.
Wow.
But we're actually going
lot.
right? But we're actually going to camp out in Coyote Gulch overnight. Some phenomenal arches. The cliff faces are just incredible. The colors. So the end of March it'll be spring, so it'll be nice weather to go hike it. I mean, it gets over 100 in the summer. I don't want to go there then. So yeah, so that'll be really, really fun. Super excited to take on that. And everything, you have to research this. You have to have a permit to go out there. It costs you nothing, but you have to have a permit to go out there. You have to take a bag to bring human waste back. You cannot leave human waste out there. You have to create your own little toilet, and then you pack it up and you bring it out. It is definitely, a leave no trace, like nothing around here. Like here is like you leave no trace, but like it's because the ecosystem is really, really fragile. Out in that crazy desert, it's actually a very fragile environment. So,
Right.
For plants and animals and all of that, to all this, the ecosystems and stuff, be balanced. So we just have to be vigilant on that kind of stuff. But yeah, it should be really fun. And I'm taking my camera. And Ryan, this is gonna make you laugh. I am taking a tripod.
You're gonna do some long exposure? You should.
Yes. So I'm going to say so Henry, the thing is I always freeball. I've never used a tripod in my life.
Wow.
So I have a tripod and I'm gonna try it and I'll see what happens.
Yeah.
So.
I mean it can be great, like even for those lighthouses too, like with the skies blurring out those clouds and the water and stuff. I mean, it could be
You
cool.
need some stability when you're balancing on the rocks.
So yeah, so I've been doing a bunch of research on how to use a tripod, how to do the long exposures, all of that kind of stuff. So I've been doing that, and then going out west again. The sky's big, the sun is big, and the sun is at different times, especially with all the canyon stuff that they block the sun and stuff. So the times are different, so your lighting is different. So there's a lot of things to kind of consider when taking photographs and stuff out there. It's a lot different to here.
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever watched this guy, but Ben Horn does like a yearly trip to Zion, and he makes videos of like the slot canyons. That would be like some great inspiration if you're ever looking for something like that. Super cool.
I second that. He shoots large format film, but I mean like he focuses mainly on like the really intimate, smaller landscapes. So like stuff from like a top-down view on the ground floor. But like he's a great artist and photographer.
We,
Because I really do want to. That would be a good inspiration. Because I really do want to do some fun photography. I just don't want to do like the same. You go out and you look at the mountain, you take a picture. I want to create artwork out of these beautiful landscapes. And so kind of like, the art that I've created with the sand, the beach sand, is so unique and different. And people now look for different patterns in the sand. I had a friend of mine, she's down in Costa Rica or Bahamas or something, and she went scuba diving. She's been scuba diving for years, and wherever she was at, whichever islands she was at, she took pictures of sand and she sent them back to me. And she goes, "Because here, I thought you'd really love these pictures of the sand." So like people are looking at the beaches a little different, which I think is fantastic. So I stuff out west and capture these beautiful arches and slot canyon, whatever, with a different, creative view of them, and visualize them differently and use my lens to capture, something that is really different and unique to what, you typically see. So that's my challenge. Plus to go out there and see it and be, part of it and stuff. I think it would be like just phenomenal.
mm-hmm. Do you think you'll end up like doing any exhibitions with like the work in Zion, or do you think you'll stick to more of the sand stuff for galleries?
The more I've been looking at it, like the horse and the buffalo picture I just sent out to Utah to be put in my daughter's store. Just looking at it, they're gonna sell like crazy because they're just phenomenal pictures. It's just like everything is crystal clear. You can see everything. So yeah, I think with like playing around with all these different things, it's like, yeah, I really want to get a collection of them and just really create like a completely different line. And I think it won't hurt my sand because I'll still have my sand brand, and then create I'm trying to figure out what I want to call it. Is it the wild side? Is it, because, everywhere I'm going is not tame, so it needs to be something that's like super catchy that people go, oh my gosh.
I haven't. Maybe the adventurous Aussie.
There you go.
Alliterations are cool. I mean, right?
So, but I am opening. I have back in December. Richard, who runs Front Street, he offered me a studio of my own. So I will be leaving Ryan at the end of March. I'll be April. I'll be opening my own studio, which is still at Front Street, but it's across the parking lot. And it's 750 square feet, so it's really big. And it has a small knee wall in it. It's probably like 5-6 foot tall wall that sits and splits the studio into two parts. So in one part, I'm going to create the ocean with all my sand work and stuff, and then on the other side, I'm going to create a working studio where I can actually, put together like the 3 foot square that we're doing, Ryan. Instead of me sitting on the floor in my house, I actually have a studio to go to where I can take all of my art supplies and actually build them there instead of doing it on the floor of my house. That'll be like a working studio for that kind of stuff. But I'm also going to exhibit in there my landscape and wild animal photography as well. So, and just kind of, and see where it goes. People may like it, they may not like it, and at the end of the day, it's, I'm having fun. I'm going out there and finding incredible places to visit and adventures that, that I'll carry with me forever. So for me, that's the best part. And if people want to, come in and see where I've been and what I've done. And I know, Ryan, you love my stories. You actually like made me laugh when you said you actually trespassed as well. That was super fun. I was like, I'm rubbing off on you.
I do too. I'll have to admit it.
I will say, I sounded proud to tell you that. Only once.
Hey, but
as long as you leave no trace.
Hey, exactly. And you know what the thing is? Those pictures you took, Ryan, they're phenomenal. I mean, that's the cool thing about it. You're not really hurt. I don't think you're really hurting anyone. And always remember, it's way easier to ask for forgiveness than permission. So I just take that.
Hey, I mean, if they find you out there shooting, on their land, just offer to give them a print or something. And that should ease things out.
That is true. They say that for street photographers, like just photographing strangers. If like they really call you out and go like, "Why are you doing that? Delete it." Like just be like, "Hey, I'll give you it. I'll give you the photo. It's cool."
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, I was shooting coyotes last week. It was just on somebody's it was like a mansion's front yard, and I was like, these people will be all right if I just just step over this fence just a little bit and get the coyotes. And I did it. I didn't stay too long, and I left. But if they'd come out, I definitely would have printed something for them.
I have a funny story about. I wasn't trespassing. I just ran across the field, but I was asked to take pictures of cows, barns, and old tractors and old pickup trucks. I had been and I got everything else but the cows, and I couldn't find any cows that were close enough to the road, Anyway, I was like, after a couple of hours of tootling around the countryside, I decided that, well, I'm just going to go home. Well, I took this road, never been on it before, took this road, and there were these black and white cows. I'm like, oh my God. So I pull up on the side of the road. I didn't even turn my truck off. The flashes are on. I grab my camera. I am running across the field because all I want to go to do is get a picture of these cows. So they see me coming. So they start running towards me. I mean, they are running, and I'm going, and then all of a sudden I just went, oh shit, there's an electric fence here somewhere, because there was no fence between it. And I'm going, oh, so I stop in my tracks, they stop in their tracks, and then we're just staring at each other. But I have the best cow pictures ever.
Wow.
And they're trying, the cows were climbing over each other, trying to see me, like, what the heck is this? Who is she? Whatever. And then, they're all staring at me, so I got some really super fun pictures of these black and white cows. And the client loved them, so I've sold 2 of them, of these crazy cows. So, yeah, it was a lot of fun. So sometimes it's really cool to go, run across the field, or not really hurting anyone, but...
Mm-hmm. Yep. I mean, the only thing I would say with that is just be careful. Depending on where you are, some people will just shoot you for being on their property.
That too. There's that too. But I've got a camera. I don't have a gun.
True. Yes.
Camera.
You can't shoot them back with the camera.
No. You can take a picture of them shooting you, I guess.
If you time it right, long exposure,
fast shutter speed. Oh.
I was gonna say with the cows running towards you. I mean, cows can really kill. I mean, they can kill people. Like they're actually pretty dangerous animals to be around. Yeah, but
buffalo, they're pretty dangerous too.
I'm not sure which is worse.
I think definitely buffalo. I mean, a bull cow will kill you, but I don't really think a normal cow really is that much of a threat.
Yeah.
Well, I grew up on a cattle ranch in Australia. Yeah, cows are pretty dangerous. They can be very scary too. Oh yeah. That's still, they may be domesticated, but they can. A 2,000-pound bull, he's really gonna hurt you. It don't matter. Even your horse, he's gonna hurt you because he's really big. He's so much bigger than you. Yeah. So.
Large and in charge.
So it was a lot of fun to do that stuff. So I'm going to put some of that in my new studio. It will be open. So Front Street is having their spring festival April 24th. So I'll have it open that day for my grand opening. So if you're in town, Henry, you must definitely come by and see it. And I would love to meet you.
When is it?
So it's April 24th. I'll
Okay.
send you all the details. Yeah.
Cool.
So, and it'll be at Front Street. All of the galleries will be open. And it's the spring festivals to kick off the spring season.
Oh, nice.
And we're going to have all kinds of vendors. There'll be a band. There's food trucks, so it'll be a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun being down there.
Always is, yeah. Yeah, that's where Kelly and I met. So I mean,
Oh, cool.
just look at us.
Uh-huh.
I just think it's cool. I just think it's cool, Kelly, how you always are doing you're always up to something new, and it's always exciting hearing from you about, just your travels, and you have all these ideas of things you want to try out, and like you're open to trying any and all of them, which is cool.
Thank you. It's like I'm, at that point in my life where it's like, if it's not fun, then why do it? So,
Right.
And I've, we had that conversation, like about, you're going to have the thirds, in your picture frame, and all that kind of crazy. And I'm going, well, I don't know anything about that. And then you're like, well, yeah, you do, because that picture is like that. And I went, oh, okay, there it is.
Yeah, you did it you did it subconsciously. You just didn't know it. Like,
Right.
you know what I mean?
So, but yeah, I'm really excited to play with my camera settings and stuff when I go out west and when I go to Lake Erie to see, how I can capture these long exposures and, the clouds, the skies, creating those different images like you see. And I think it's the coolest thing is like take your camera everywhere, practice, shoot everything and anything. It's a digital file. You can delete whatever.
Right.
And sometimes you just never know what you see, what you capture on your lens. And sometimes I've captured pictures or images or beautiful pieces of artwork without even knowing that I captured it.
Yeah. That's sometimes the best stuff right there.
That's that I think for right now that's the first quarter of the year. Is
Wow.
what I've been doing. Oh,
All in one quarter. Jeez.
yeah, this is in one quarter. But I've also, and Ryan's part of this as well. We're part of the Darren Harper's Invitational 3-foot square. And basically it was for all of us to step outside of our comfort zones of, how we create our artwork. And to get our artwork put out around outside of Dayton, outside of Front Street, to kind of step out of that comfort zone. And so when I was first asked about it, I was like, well, what am I going to do? So I had to really think about, how I could like be part of it and whatever. So there's 60 plus artists from the local area that are involved in it. And Ryan and I have a 3-foot square down in, is it Woodburn Library? Is that what it's called, Ryan, in Centerville? Yep. Have that. And then we're in at Front Street is having their 5th anniversary, this celebration in March. And me leaving in March, I think I'm going to have my artwork up, my 3-foot square up for that month, I think. I'm not sure, but so we'll have that. And then the Dana Wiley Gallery is supposed to be hosting the 3-foot square for all of us artists. She has a fairly big gallery on the 2nd floor at Front Street. So I haven't heard any more from Julie Riley or from Mike Elsis about it, or Darren. So they're the 3 that are involved in it. They're the ones who put it all together. So that was a really fun thing to do. Did you enjoy that, Ryan? Did you have a lot of fun trying to figure out what you want to do? Like, was it challenging for you?
Yeah, I mean, it was something different with printing on canvas because that was something it's still pretty new to me, but like doing a smaller size and doing many of them is something different too. And I did my abstract ICM photographs on them. So, yeah, it was really fun. It's something different and I enjoy it.
I liked all your colors that you have for the ones that you have at the library.
Thank you.
And
Yeah.
they all have like the movement in them, so it really gives it like they clustered together well.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different colors going on. There's some overlap, but like I guess it's not like really just one universal color scheme with it.
Yeah, so and I added color to mine. So there's the 9 black and whites, and then there's 4 bluish green colors, and then there's 3 that are like a brownish. It's kind of a mish between the black and whites and the browns and gold tones and stuff in them. So
That's awesome. Yeah, even with all the sand too. Yeah, with it.
Sand. Everything that's down there is all sand photography.
It's still unique. I still haven't seen anyone do anything similar to what you're doing. So you're still doing one of a kind work.
Yeah. And like people are loving it. So, the fact that I've sold in America, in Australia, hopefully there's a couple of people I'm talking to in Europe, up in Spain. Challenging because of the language barrier, but we're working on it. So they send me messages in Spanish, and I have to translate it, and then I send a message back in English, and they translate it. So
That's awesome. You're making sales around the world. That shows how kind of unique your photography is. So congrats.
it's super fun, and it's awesome, and I love it.
Yeah, and it's great that like despite all the work you're doing, because you do put a lot of work into all of this and getting the new studio set up now, it's like you're still just having fun with all of it and just enjoying the process, as you said. And it's really admirable. It's really cool.
Yeah, like I said before, if it's not fun, don't do it.
I think that's a good way to put a pin in the episode. Yeah. So yeah, thanks Kelly for coming on. Is there any shout outs or anything you want to I don't know. Where can people go find more about your work?
They can go to my website. I have a very strange website. It's www.singlegrainofsand.tilda you can find me on frontstreet.art in the galleries for the artists on that for the Front Street. You can find me on the Artery the gallery at Front Street as well. And you can find me on Facebook. My Instagram is at Single Grain of Sand. You can send me a message. You can see some of my artwork on there. This year, I know I've already got through most of January without doing it, but I want to be posting starting February. Every week there will be a new adventure and of where I've been, what I've been doing, and then the process of putting the whole art gallery and stuff together to be open in April. So hopefully I can get a bunch of stuff up on my social media and stuff as well.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm looking forward to all that.
Yeah, same here.
Thanks for coming on. It was
Thank
great.
you, Kelly.
Thank you guys. Absolutely love being on your show. And I do want to say, when I'm out in Utah, I won't have a phone signal. But when I come back into it, I'm going to send you guys some pictures of where I was at. So.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, we'd love to see him.
Okay.
Awesome. Thanks, Kelly.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching the Owl Outdoors Photography Podcast. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and the video version on YouTube as well. You can subscribe down below, and we look forward to seeing you in the next one. Thank you.